All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys tonight. The first story that I've got for you guys today, Good Vito has won the regional show in Brazil, the Fit Pira. Now, this show was a regional qualifier for a pro qualifier, so that means he has to compete again to get his pro card. So I want to be clear that he did not turn pro at this show, but the pro qualifier that he's competing in is going to be in Campinas, Sao Paulo, on the 26th of this month, and that's where he says he's going to bring his best form. This to him was kind of the warm-up show to get him to that pro qualifier. Even though he had to do this, this was required for him to get to the pro qualifier. I think he won here pretty easily. I think after watching prejudging, the general consensus was there's no way he's not winning this thing. He looked pretty good, and I think conditioning-wise, I think he looked better than Michael Krizo at both the Olympia Amateur and the Prague Pro. I think his conditioning here was on point, even though this is supposedly not his top shape. This is kind of, like I said, a warm-up for him to get to the real thing, which is the pro qualifier. Now, whether or not he's going to try to compete as a pro immediately after turning pro like Krizo did, that remains to be seen. But I think based on what we saw here when he does compete for a pro card, I think he's going to get one. I think we're going to see him in the IFBB Pro League pretty quickly. And I think it's awesome to see how over this past year, how quickly all these things have taken shape. I mean, we've talked about Andrew Jacked. We've talked about Michael Krizo. We've talked about Good Vito. All three of these guys for maybe 2 or 3 years now. What if they came and competed? What if they competed in the NPC? Could they turn pro? Before we get to the rest of the video, today's video is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan, a law firm. When you're injured, you deserve compensation, and the size of your law firm matters. Morgan & Morgan has more than 800 attorneys nationwide and has recovered over $13 billion for their clients. The best part? You pay nothing up front for their services. The fee is free unless they win. What if they turn pro? Could they win a pro show? Could they get to the Olympia? And now we're seeing Andrew Jacked win a pro show, turn pro, win a pro show, get to the Olympia. Michael Krizo, turn pro, win a pro show, get to the Olympia. Good Vito, I think he's going to be getting that pro card at the end of the month. Then when he does compete, which I think would be an ideal situation for him, is to compete before the end of the year in a qualifier for next year's Olympia, because realistically, that is a really good strategic plan for him. If he wants to get to the Olympia, he's not going to be able to do it this year. It's too late for that at this point. He's not a pro yet. But if he wants to have a really good strategic plan, likely the shows at the end of the year that he could compete in are either going to be right before or right after the Olympia, and most of the top Olympians, the top caliber guys, are not going to be there. It's not going to be the stiffest competition at a lot of these shows that are end-of-the-year qualifiers for next year's Olympia. So if he does turn pro and then immediately competes in an Olympia qualifier for next year, that I think would give him the best chance of doing well, to have a whole year in between now and then to focus on bringing up some of the points that he needs to bring up. And I think one of those points, I think, is tricep size. I think that's one of the things that I noticed. In the side tricep was one of the shots that I thought maybe he wouldn't look that good in that top 3 call-out that he was in. But he's got a crazy back, he's got crazy legs, crazy proportions, and like I said in the earlier video, the only thing that really surprised me was how short he was in that call-out. Maybe those guys were just super tall, but to me, he looked kind of like a 212 stature, but still had a ton of size, really filled out his frame, looked really impressive. So at the end of the month, that's kind of what we have to look forward to, is to see whether or not he gets his pro card on the 26th in that Brazil show in Sao Paulo. But congrats to Good Vito on the victory, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about how he looked here. Now, next up in the news, 6 weeks out from the Olympia. Today we are exactly 6 weeks out from the 2022 Mr. Olympia. We got yet another physique update from Nick Walker. And if you're going to talk about fast rising stars like Michael Krizo, Good Vito, and Andrew Jacked, Nick Walker was the original fast rising star with how quickly he won the Arnold Classic and earned himself a first call-out and a really good placing at the Olympia right off the bat, essentially his rookie season. And realistically, at a pretty young age. So this update at 6 weeks out, you've got a front double bicep, a most muscular, a side chest, and a back double bicep. And he says he's weighing 275 pounds this morning at 6 weeks out. This is a new low weight here for him. I'm guessing he's referring to this prep specifically, that being a new low weight for him. And as I've been reading through comments and messages of Olympia predictions on my videos and Instagram, Nick Walker is really the biggest upset name that I've seen as far as who would win besides Ramy. I see a lot of people predicting that Nick would win. Nick would be the guy if anybody were to beat Ramy, and I find that to be a very bold and a very interesting prediction. And I think a valid point that a lot of the people that were arguing for Nick were making was, well, nobody thought that Nick was going to win the New York Pro right off the bat. Nobody thought that he was going to win the Arnold Classic right off the bat. Both those things seem pretty crazy for a rookie bodybuilder being his second and third show. I believe New York Pro was his second and the Arnold was his third. But he did prove those doubters wrong by winning those 2 shows. So what's to say he couldn't do that again and win the Olympia? And I think, like I said before, I think Nick Walker has the size to do it. I think he has the physique to do it. I just think conditioning is the thing. And he comes in really good shape. I'm not saying he doesn't. He does come in really good condition. But I think conditioning on a whole nother level is the thing that's going to crack him into the top 3 if he wants to get there. Because like I said, Hadi Choopan, very dangerous guy. And he's in that 3rd place spot. And I don't see anybody really beating him on conditioning right now, Nick Walker included. So he's going to have to really level up what he brings from a conditioning standpoint to get there. But I like seeing these bold predictions that Nick Walker would win. Because this year right now seems to be the year of the newcomer in bodybuilding. Nick Walker's made a huge name for himself over the past year. Andrew Jack, Michael Krizo, Good Vito. It's the changing of the guard, and this is a really exciting time to be a bodybuilding fan with all this stuff that's happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a new guy win the Olympia. I really think that Ramy has got it. He's really got it wrapped up. I don't think anybody's going to beat Ramy. But if someone did beat Ramy and it was one of these newcomers, I wouldn't be that surprised because that seems to be the theme of this year is these newcomers dominating these shows. And if it were one of these guys like Nick, Andrew, Krizo, and certainly not Good Vito this year, but if it were one of those guys, I don't think anybody would be mad. I think people would be excited because bodybuilding historically is one of those sports where when someone starts winning the Olympia multiple times, they dominate for like a decade. Or the better part of a decade. There's not much changing of the guard in terms of champions. But as of right now, I'm still not changing my prediction. I still think Ramy's going to win this year. Now, next up in the news, also at that same show in Brazil, but in the professional division, Eduardo Correa making his big comeback this weekend and winning his division in 212 in a very impressive fashion. I thought his conditioning was very impressive here. He's over 40, so this was a pretty big comeback for him. I believe the last time we saw him compete was the 2019 Mr. Olympia, where he took 7th. And this is a guy that used to battle with Flex Lewis for the title. Back in 2014, he was 2nd to Flex. In 2015, he was 3rd. So we're talking about a guy that was over half a decade removed from being a top guy in the conversation to win the 212 Olympia. Now, he's back in really impressive fashion. I was really impressed by the physique that he brought here, really impressed by the conditioning, especially for his age. And I think this was overall a very exciting comeback. So I wanted to congratulate Eduardo Correa on the victory in Brazil, as well as not wanting him to get overshadowed by the Good Vito story, because in all reality, Good Vito is still an amateur. He didn't win his pro card, and there was also a professional division at the show that he did. So I wanted to make sure we talked about that as well. And the final story that I've got for you guys today, the latest video posted from Derek Lunsford on his Instagram, had a lot of people talking about the shots of his back. And he has always been a guy that's known for having a really crazy back, especially in 212. I think you could have even made the argument at one point that he had the best back in that division. It's always been something that's been a strong point for him. He's always had these crazy, wide, flaring, dense lats. And in this update, a lot of people were comparing it to the recent update of Ramy, where you could see Ramy's lat spread, because Derek looks so wide and impressive here. And I think this is what I've talked about with Derek so many times, is even though he's coming over from the 212 category and he's a shorter guy, and in stature he's a smaller guy, his physique is built in a way where he can create this illusion of being much bigger than he is. And I still don't think he's that small. A lot of people that have seen him walking around the gym say he's around 250 right now at 6 weeks out. So we really don't think he's going to be much lighter than 240, 235 on stage at the Olympia, so he's really not that small of a guy. And I think that was evident at the Pittsburgh Pro guest posing, that he's put on quite a bit of size between the last time that we saw him on the Olympia stage. But that is the strong point of his physique, his V-taper, the width of his upper body, his shoulders, his back, this crazy width illusion that he presents on stage. He's not going to look small against these guys. He didn't look small next to these open guys at the Pittsburgh Pro. Keep in mind, at that guest posing was Brandon Curry, Nick Walker, Hunter Labrada, some of the top Olympians. And I would argue that Derek looked big next to them, and I think he's going to look big here. I don't think he's going to get outsized. I don't think he's going to get dwarfed on stage. I think he's going to look really impressive. I think his conditioning is going to be on point because he's working with Hani, and that's really Hani's thing. That's his calling card. So let me know in the comment section below where you guys see Derek placing in this year's Open Olympia lineup. And that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you leave a like and share it if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.